essential. Niggas personas be digital. On the TL, be on the deal, I know. Fuck a BB, I need it natural. Fuck her so good, I took her to the astral. Be at myself, fuck ask you. What is a race if I'm moving right past you? I got a massive view. Seeing the pictures, larger pockets, deep in the car. Expanding the borders, closing my waters. I got a grind for my future daughters. They gon' be bosses, cutting my losses, chilling the flosses, saving enough to buy Austin, Texas. You was trying to buy a Lexus, fuck talking about. We never been similar, watch him out. If I pop on a video, was selling out. Got a price on my big amount. Niggas talking that talk, but I walk it out. You can see it in person, no word of mouth. I can tell that you heard it without a doubt. I'm taking a moment of clarity. I told my woman to marry me. When I die, they gon' not bury me. Maybe these niggas not real, they a parody. But you joking, I'm deep in the ocean. Like the moon, I be caught commotion. Keep a distance from all these emotions. Niggas tripping, I'm actually coasting. Yeah, meditate, out the way, take it day by day. Meditate, take it day by day. Meditate, lift the way, take it day by day. Meditate, lift the way, take it day by day. Boundaries and restrictions, niggas, I be on the mission. All of these functions that a nigga missing. Finna be worth it once a nigga winning. I shop and spend it, money long enough to buy a few buildings. I've been working on myself for a minute. Now I'm living life on top of the ceiling. Beautiful feelings, still I be fighting though. Every moment of battle, we toe to toe in the mirror to find a foe. Opposition is hardly a problem though. I be starting with demons, I know I'm a G. I'm in the mean to go deeper and deeper. Ain't taking it easy, they don't believe me, cause they can see me. They ain't belong to the TV, yeah. I got to jumping like NBA. I can't be living life anyway. I got a theory say, that means I'm making a change today. Ain't nothing left but to meditate. Clear my mind, feeling great. Feeling the love in the bag on the way. Feeling the love in the bag on the moment of clarity. I told my woman to marry me. When I die, they gon' burn me, not bury me. Maybe these niggas not real, they push you joking, I'm deep in the ocean. Like the moon, I be causing commotion. Keep it distant from all these emotions. Niggas tripping, I'm actually coasting. I'm taking a moment of clarity. I told my woman to marry me. When I die, they gon' burn me, not bury me. Maybe these niggas not real, they a parody. Push you joking, I'm deep. Like the moon, I be causing commotion. Keep it distant from all these emotions. Niggas tripping, I'm actually coasting. Yeah, meditate, lift the way, take it day by day. Meditate, lift the way, take it day by day. Meditate, lift the way, take it day by day. Meditate, lift the way, take it day by day. What up? It's your boy Dave. You watching Davebeyondtv, where we go beyond the everyday bullshit that people be consuming on a day-to-day basis. And today we breaking down basically the moon, Libra, the sun being in Sagittarius. Right now we can see clearly in revelation season. So basically coming off of what I was just saying the previous day about the Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius, the being in Sagittarius, it's a lot to see. It's a lot to see, and based upon your level of awareness and where you at with your discernment, that's going to choose what you choose to move on. And again, everything we do at this moment in time is going to lead to expansion. So right now, you just need to be mindful of where you want to invest your focus. You know what I'm saying? Because whatever you put your focus to is going to expand, especially during a season like this. You know, and it's all fire. Right now, we have a grand fire trine, so we dealing with the sun, we dealing with Mars, we dealing with the North Node and Chiron. So everything right now is positioned to kind of like it. Basically, everything is lit up in your life right now to see kind of the truth into what you've been following, what you've been moving in alignment with, as far as your spiritual path goes, right? And also that's alongside your mistakes and things like that. So Chiron is sitting right there at the crux of all this, or part of this grand trine. So there's really a gift hidden in the moment where again, and see the thing about it is right now, with Mercury retrograde, you got to be real mindful, because I was saying this in my previous live too. A lot of what you might have thought was a good morality or something to find or something like that, you can see right now. Well, actually, to be honest, probably not even gonna see it yet, because it's retrograde time. But this is where, like I've been saying, it's the time period of bad advice. So everything you see on the internet, go off of what you hear online. You can't just go off of what you think, somebody's opinion, someone else's way of viewing something. At this moment, it's more important than ever to come up with, again, you have to start to develop your own path. You have what it is you're here for, and that has to be something that's true to you. Everything kind of goes to authenticity, being genuine, and where your heart really is. You know, this has been a common theme throughout this whole year. It's just, you really have to be true to self. If self is what's actually going to lead you to the right places. And the thing about it is, you know, it's going to be real easy to just kind of go along with what you see and what's interesting and what might be appealing to your attention span, right? But you're not, again, at the end of the day, if you're agreeing to something that you in your heart don't resonate with, then you're doing yourself a disservice, and you will kind of see the repercussions of that moving forward. Again, you might not see it right now, but you will see it when you just go direct. So there's no real clear path. Again, a lot of the 90% of everybody moves off the same sentiment of wanting to be right. That's a human nature thing. You know what I'm saying? You as a spirit in a human body having a human experience, you feel comfortable, you want to be right and stuff like that. You want to be able to predict what's gonna happen tomorrow. So everybody is real concerned on, oh, what should I do? What should I do? And see, the problem with that is if you rely and cling too much to, you're gonna be always looking outside of yourself perpetually. You're gonna constantly be looking outside yourself for something to kind of agree with or something to cling on to. And the thing is, ain't nothing coming to save you. Like I was telling homeboy in my last live, talking about Jesus, is like, is there to save you. There is nothing outside of you to cling on. And this is not about being selfish or being too much in your own world. It's actually you just, again, it's knowing what you truly, understanding what you see, and it's about being true to you. Value is one of the key points that we can look at as to some of the energy to help us give some kind of solidified kind of answer or set of, what I'm saying, like when it comes to I'm specifically talking about Uranus and Taurus. That's an energy, for example, that has been with us for a long time, which is kind of been an undertone of things, as far as like we need to kind of know what we stand on in order to be able to decide and have a point of reference of where we want to actually build things. You know what I'm saying? He said having something to cling to sounds appropriate for fall. Exactly. And see, that's the thing. You know what I'm saying? And shout out to the Hang of Alchemy. That's the thing right now. It's like the fall got everybody in that space of, oh my gosh, things are not the same, things are changing and shit like that. So panic mode, like I be saying, around this time you see people start to get into desperate spirit. And so desperation, again, you could see the traces in the people move. When people move too fast, every time you move really fast, that's when you make the most mistakes. And again, right now with this grand fire trine and all, she's aligning with Chiron too. Chiron's sitting right there, and it's showing you, hey, this is the reason why you in the situation you panicking about right now. Don't fuck around, make the same mistake. Don't make the same decisions that led you there. And a lot of time from you probably moving too fast and probably just, again, when you in panic mode, you just grab for anything. And the first thing you grab for, if you panicking, you might grab for something that doesn't have anything substantial to support the weight of your body. And then that be, you say you falling off a cliff, you grab onto a piece of rock that wasn't even connected to the actual land. So you can grab something that actually hit you in the head and made you fall faster. So it's like you got to be mindful of that. But at the same time too, you can't be afraid to fall. Sometimes falling is the best for you, because what you thought you were standing on actually wasn't sufficient to stand on. So sometimes people need that harsh truth and harsh reality too. And also people are afraid of the harsh reality. And that's kind of what, saying about the moon in Virgo, setting us up for, preparing us to deal with the reality of things, the reality of our vision and what we know. On one end, yeah, you might have wanted to be optimistic, but the truth is there's still a lot of work to be done and things to be improved upon. So don't lose contact with the faith, but at the same time, the faith needs the work. The faith needs still that critical energy to be alongside with it, so it can be potent, and you're not just kind of blindly moving, actually moving alongside. It's like you're moving with a different kind of energy, right? When you have just blind faith and you're leaning more on delusion, it's because you're nothing that can make that possibility happen. You're just kind of being like, oh yeah, I believe I'll be here and I'll have faith that this will work out for me, but you're not doing nothing in reality to actually make that true. So therefore, that whole ideology is that you're in, versus you having a vision, a goal, something to believe in, and something to have faith in. But you can have faith in it and say it's creative and it's imagination, because you're equally in the reality side of things, doing something actually make that a possibility later on down the line. So right now, again, everybody is kind of in that space where you either in panic mode or you're kind of in a space where you're just seeing things. You're able to observe and look around you, and from that look, like I said before too, when it comes to Sagittarius, yeah, it's going to give you all insight, right?
but you have to also have a healthy subconscious to know how to interpret, because part of Sagittarius energies and reason is that you derive. You know what I'm saying? He said, "Real OG." Whoa, man, come on, bro. You know what I'm saying? Y'all weirdos, and that's the thing about this internet stuff. It's just weirdos online and stuff like that. Like, you know, I don't know, bro. But for the most part, and I would be bored and stuff like that. You know, hey, it is what it is. But you know, when it comes to this energy, it's about interpreting, knowing how to interpret things, meanings and reasonings that you derive from what you experiencing. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Free, man. Shout out to Free, man. Yo, y'all don't be knowing Free. Show the things down. She be like everything, these shows that y'all seeing, the conferences y'all seeing, the planners and stuff, which by the way is on the way for season, all of that, you know what I'm saying? It really be Free with the magic behind the scenes and stuff like that. So shout out to Free. But for the most part, you know, continuing on when it comes to just what we're doing right now, what we're investing our time, energy, and focus in. Again, Sagittarius like energy, part of that, one of the most crucial parts is, are you interpreting things from the right perspective? And the right perspective, again, there's no right or wrong, but it's about what's true to you and being honest with yourself. Saying, there she is right there, you know what I'm saying? But you know, that's that are not that you're not resolving. If you're not doing the proper shadow work, you're going to be exhibiting behaviors like I just spoke about, where you're just going to clinging on to everything, and the second things start to get you into that survival mode space, then all of a sudden this is the reason why making mistakes. This is the reason why you're getting led off a cliff, or just following any and everything for the sake of not wanting to be alone in the dark. You know, aka you feel naked with your own sense of awareness, and you lack confidence. You probably lack your own trust of self. So the first thing you cling on to is somebody else's mind, ideology, or pathway outside of you to run to, so that you can feel like, I'm doing the right thing. And all you're doing is looking for some kind of spiritual parent. And you have to be the adult right now. You have to be mature. And again, that takes a certain of courage. And if you haven't been doing the work up until now, well, you're going to be feeling a lot of the harshness and pressure of not actually taking responsibility on spiritual path. And again, the grand fire trine is bringing intense awareness of that. And so if you haven't been doing that, that's what you're seeing right now. You're seeing it very clear up front, and like, dang, I haven't actually been taking authority in my life. Again, even with Pluto going into Aquarius, power and control over what it is that I want to see around me. And you know, Pluto kind of switches up things as far as our associations and how we're moving and interacting with things. So you know, even that is being a lot of this energy when we have the Sun, Mercury, and Chiron in the north. These things are sextile in Pluto. So like I was saying about how Pluto is, when it was in Aquarius, it was about transforming our status, being more responsible, taking authority over what it is that we, again, depending on what house you have Pluto in, that's kind of the theme. But overall, these things are what was directly affecting you. So if you had Pluto, again, depending on what house, like if you had it in the second house, was you transforming, taking authority over your values and what you have to offer to the world, that determined kind of the level of receive in that area, or the status you could establish for yourself in that area, which directly affects Pluto going into the next house, which would be the third house for you. Shout out to Mooney Mercury baby up in here. That would what was also what would move into Aquarius and be, okay, now what you developed and took power and control over and became authority about in that house previous where Capricorn was. So in this example would be the second house, moving into the third house, that would how much respect you was able to gather when you're interacting and associating on that end. So you see, everything is in progression. So whatever you had Capricorn, whatever house you had Capricorn in and you had Pluto going through, that was the precursor to actual respect you can have in this new space with Aquarius, and how active your ability to associate is going to be in that area. And the people who did the work, they're going to see the result of that, and you're going to be able to look and say, damn, okay, you know. And even if you just where you, again, we all on different levels and going through different, you know, places. We in different places with our journey, right? So it's not about, you know, if you feel as though you're not as far as you want to be at, that's fine. It's more so about you just committing and being, you know, focused on your own journey. You know, a lot of this is, especially with this grand fire trine, a lot of it is about you and your individuality and you coming to grips with that. This the saying in the beginning. the simple fact that you can't cling on to what somebody else says, right? You have to really know for yourself. And knowing for yourself, it requires you to be in that space, separate a little bit, and get your own bearings and decide for where you want to take your life. Because that's the thing too. A lot of times people listen and take advice from people they wouldn't even really want to trade shoes with and shit like that as far as their problem. Because you gotta think, you might be looking at somebody's success in the area, but you're not thinking about the problems that they done accumulated from that. You're not thinking about, you know, after a while you start to realize the only real problems you want and want to have to really deal with at the end of the day are your own. And to be able to get on that path, you have to really keep in mind, like, is this really me? Is this really what I resonate with? Is this where I want to take my life? And you have to commit to that and let that be your guiding light in a sense. But outside of you for a guiding light, it's going to take you down that person's problems. It's going to take you down that perspective with certain things that you might not be able to foresee. And again, God can't give you anything you can't handle if you're being yourself. But if you're someone else, you're always going to kind of run into certain road blockages that show, hey, you're not being yourself here, or you know, you're not equipped to kind of go through that next step because this is not your path. And that's how they say, like, even rejection is protection, because when things don't work out, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's showing you, hey, you need to redirect your way of looking, your way of approach, or something like that. See, that's how they even say the real failure is to give up. You know what I'm saying? We all gonna have mistakes and roadblocks, but it's about how you respond and how you navigate that conflict. And the ones who end up being successful are the ones who knew not to stop, who just redirected their energy and kind of sat with themselves, took the time to observe and contract. And then once they took the time to contract, you're always going to be directed right back to that pathway, the path that you're supposed to be on. But see, a lot of times we get caught up in the world because there's so many things externally that distract us and make waste even more time. So people can go through a long amount of time in the wrong space, not understanding that they need to kind of redirect and retract, and you know, they can spit again the way the world is again, especially during these times. And think about it right now, you know, we going through the fall time, so there's all these holidays coming up that just, again, time with your family, which ain't bad, you know what I'm saying? It's like, if you know, do what you got to do, but the ones who know is like, sometimes you get so wrapped up into all these other things externally that you wasting time that you really be spending developing your pathway. Because again, the way they got the calendar set up, they got all these energies at times where we kind of need the most meditation, the most alone time. You know what I'm saying? It's Thanksgiving and shit, and we going through some kind of spiritual warfare and shit like that. Like, I ain't trying to be around a bunch of people who not even on nothing and stuff like that, you know, whether they my family or not. Like, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes you be around, it be family members that be distracting you the most, low key. And again, I'm not saying separate from your family, but I'm just saying, like, you got to look at how things are set up. Doing Christmas during Capricorn season, so a time in which you really supposed to be building financial security and figuring out what you want to do, putting up boundaries and restrictions. They got you in a time where, nah, you need to be with the family and give. And again, you go broke trying to give everybody in your family that you ain't talked to in ages a Christmas gift, and now you don't got nothing that you actually supposed to be building with, stuff like that. Again, nothing wrong with, if you got it, you got it. You know what I'm saying? And again, I'm not saying separate from your family, do what you do. You know what I'm saying? I don't be talking from a place of, you know, having to put you in a space where you have to completely separate from everything in order to do what's right for your spirit. But I am saying is figure out how to balance it in a way in which you're not sabotaging your own, because sometimes people will feel guilty during these times to have time for themselves, you know, in a time where everybody is expecting you to kind of spend time with them. You might feel by association, or somebody might try to make you feel guilty just because you might be to do something for you, or you're trying to do something that helps your mind solidify and you get your own peace and space and things like that. So don't feel bad for what the energy is, you know, kind of encouraging you to do, which is during this time, Sagittarius season, you might need a little bit of more meditation. You might need separation, space to expand in a whole different area instead of kind of having to follow some kinds of other obligations and stuff like that. And I'm not talking about, like, again, don't take what I'm saying as an excuse to not do right by your family, or not to especially if you got children and stuff like that, like, you know, not make an experience. But even that, you know, yeah. But when it comes to the energy we going through right now, you know what I'm saying? The moon in Libra is dealing with the way we relate. So this is kind of like your relationship to spiritual growth, your spiritual path, your relationship to these different things are being kind of put to the test right now. So even how you go about relating, how you see things and things like that might be kind of called into question. Here's an opportunity for you to apply what you know. So hopefully you've accumulated some better wisdom and ways of navigating certain things, because that's going to kind of determine how you decide to relate to certain situations going on around you. Mercury going retrograde though, again, what you might think is good advice or what you might think is the right thing to kind of analyze and maybe even speak on, you might take this opportunity but not have effective on what you actually talking about or what you actually looking at. So you really need to be mindful, like I was saying, about your interpretation, what meanings and reasoning you're deriving from these things. Because if your meaning and reasoning is coming from a place of the moon in Libra, the moon in Libra can have people wanting to be overly harmonious. So you could be wanting to be too connected, too relatable to certain things, too harmonious, or it can have you kind of passive, not speaking what you see and not being completely honest about what you see, right? So you want to make sure that you're not allowing that Libra moon to kind of have you be a little too open to things that, again, you don't necessarily want to relate to, you know, because that'll be a one-way ticket down to a certain experience where you start to open yourself to certain things that later on, when this energy goes direct, you start to realize, damn, I'm too agreeable with this. I was a little too agreeable with that. And that could lead you to, again, like kind of have to go through a situation where you have to get yourself out of something because you allowed them to go too far. And you know, when it comes to situations like that, a lot of it is just a waste of time and energy at that point. It can show you stuff and it can teach you stuff, but you could prevent that by, at this moment, thinking that when you are moving with that Libra moon, um, just to be mindful that you're not doing things that, again, aren't true to you. The moon is opposite Chiron and it's opposite the North Node. So, you know, we're dealing with energy. Also, the moon is conjunct Lilith. So you might be too afraid to kind of make your own path at the moment. And you might be too mindful, too worried about mistakes that you used to make, that you might not want to use your voice, or you might not want to, you might find it hard to balance between different things. Now, I'm gonna always say redirect this energy to what you got going on and stuff like that. Because again, other people's business and things like that, Tyson, especially with the moon in Libra, because it's an air moon, and then we got all this. So again, you look outside and things is exploding and it's taking your attention away. But you have to always kind of, you know, yeah, that can be going on, but what are you focused on? What are you relating to within yourself? Because that's kind of the most important thing, you know. And if you're not cool with this relationship with yourself, then you might find yourself getting involved or wrapped up into things that really ain't about you and ain't your, it's not your battle, it's not your fight, it's not nothing, you know what I'm saying? It might be things that you get wrapped up into that you start to give too much of your focus and attention to. So, you know, just be mindful of that stuff. And see, and again, the moon conjunct energies like Lilith, the way we're even going about relating and stuff like that, you know, the truth of the matter is, we in a time right now where, you know, if you really don't, because it is a war going on, I'm saying, where it's not a time, like I said before too, about being more mature and taking authority over you, where you want to, where you're going and where you want to take things. It's not a time too to even be too open and from what you see online and stuff like that. You don't know these people, you don't know what's going on, you don't really understand. So you have to, it's like you have to kind of, I don't know, it's a tricky time. I'm saying it's a tricky time to where it's like, you know, the past ways of doing things, right? How things were in the past, they don't apply to these times now. You know what I'm saying? The way in which interacting and engaging and stuff like that, it has to change. And so the best you could do is just kind of understand for yourself how you want to take things, where you want to go with your own path and with your own life and things like that. Like being too wrapped up in the wrong things, like just being too wrapped up into other people's situations, stuff like that, it could put you in a space where before you know it, you know, because figure this, a lot of the energies that we box to, for instance, right? Neptune in Aries, Saturn in Aries. There's going to be a heavy emphasis in 2025 about war in general. You know what I'm saying? War, what you're fighting for, and whether or not what you believe in a lot is going to be motivated by what you believe in. So a lot of people are going to be fighting imaginary battles. A lot of people are going to be fighting their own illusions. A lot of people are going to be fighting, basically themselves in the dark space, created some kind of imagination or weird energy around them. So it's like, right, don't lose sight of the mission. And see, the mission gotta be, you gotta know what that mission is for you. Because like the Neptune in Aries again is gonna have everybody in a space where you're gonna be fighting for something. Yeah, you might be fighting for the wrong thing. You might be on the wrong, it's like the way you're going about it, you might be building for the wrong thing, and the wrong thing just being something that's not truly you. And it's okay. It's like everybody gotta have enough space to know what it is that they're involving themselves in, because it's like it's easy right now, because again that Pluto and Aquarius energy is like gatherings, community, wrapping people up in things. So it's like, because that's what Aquarius kind of does, even though it's like fixated air, it's still everybody. Think about the state that everybody's in, and even how even society is set up at the moment, where everything kind of it's always been a matter of trying to group people, right? That's why you even have things like how the political party is set up, where you got Democrats on this side and you got Republicans are forced to pick one side. And, I'm going to go with these people because I think like this, and I'm going to go with these people because I think like this, right? When anybody with real intelligence can know that, hey, if we was trying to really run a nation and shit like that, coming together, and there should be an agreement, and there should be balance, and something in which we can agree on to move forward as a collective. But instead convince everybody that what makes the most sense is to have two sides, and whenever one side wins, that's what's going to dominate. And then even that ideology is separation based. And then if we go even deeper, things like race and class and things like that are just more ways in which we can distinguish who is who. And then they create different pockets of civilization, different groups as far as like what people like, again, desires that they're into, different faces on the map in which people will gravitate to based upon their desires and shit like that. So you get a certain type of person who wants to live in the South. You get a certain type of person who wants to live in the city. You get a certain type of person who live in the Midwest and who stays on the West Coast, stuff like that. And then again, it's just more grouping, more separation. You get certain races there and then we're going to cater to them in certain ways politically. And then before you know it, everybody is at war, clashing with each other, forgetting the point is when the people can agree, this is where things can be stabilized, and then influence and power can be created, right? Now, doing right now though, with that Pluto in it, because even like again, America's doing is Pluto return. So that's why a lot of even what people are talking about at the moment are remnants, are reminiscing of the beginning of the American Revolution, and some of the things that and the themes that were kind of discussed during that. And even if we are talking about the native things, indigenous things, and fighting for freedom and stuff, of people feeling like, man, we want to live in a nation, da 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 da. All that ideology of kind of going back to like, man, how do we people wanting to rebel, things not making sense. So it's like they're playing off that energy, and then also encouraging people to kind of group themselves based upon these different separations and what people are not getting enough of. So, to be able to see through all that, it's like you have to understand and see, when I say that grouping people, the new way that they're grouping people is through the internet and things like that, where in a small form, things like your algorithm is programmed to have your mind in certain spaces based upon what you're doing and what pops up on your timeline and what the people in the your comment sections are talking about. So kind of on a grand scale, that's kind of how they're grouping things, and how the next level of kind of you want to call it next level of warfare and slavery is kind of being tuned in like that. It's tuned in based upon what you're invested in on the internet and who you're interacting with, all the way down to, it is true, different creators like that can be easily infiltrated by putting trolls in this area of the internet, opinions and stuff like that by bot channels and AI in this area of the internet and stuff like that. And before you know it, cool, somebody talking into your ear, so to this ear, and then all of a sudden it's a bunch of false misinformation and things clashing, and people kind of getting in their feelings and feeling super convicted behind again what their algorithm is telling them is true about the world. And then before you know it, more and more people who not really having no critical thinking and really not being themselves, instead they're being led and controlled by what they're being presented with online and stuff like that. And again, this causes more clashes. Aqua begs the question of what's being entertained to push depression. Yeah, and entertainment is the number one way that they distract everybody. I'm saying that's their number one go-to, because everybody, when you're looking at these different things, again, everything is being influenced by entertainment. I was talking about how education is basically being destroyed, turned into edutainment, but the entertainment in that is being more emphasized than the actual education being spread. All the way down to the way they're manipulating kids with child programming and stuff like that. And again, people who went to school and shit like that, everybody with a college degree at this point looking at each other crazy, like, what the fuck I did this for? Because at this point, I did all this education, but I still am finding myself the only occupation open to get into and involved in, it seems like entertainment. So everybody got a TikTok star. Everybody got to go viral on one of these social media platforms doing something that is most likely showing your ass. You know what I'm saying? Everybody got to be who's creating drama and involving themselves in gossip and all kinds of weird stuff. That's what's popping right now. You know what I'm saying? Shows and stuff like that that don't show nothing but toxicity and weird behavior towards one another and stuff like that. Payment that, again, and see how you put it, right? Said Aqua begs the question of what's being entertained to push progression. The funny thing is they're creating entertainment to prevent a lot of progression. So you get a lot of people who are so invested into these other ways of entertainment, or these low vibrational ways of entertainment, that they don't even, the last thing on their mind is gathering people that they know in real life, build something substantial to create a system that's actually going to be productive for that community, right? So you got the world being kind of separated into what's on their algorithm, but what they're being separated and choosing in those circles ain't nothing productive. Isn't anything that can do anything to really influence the world in a positive way. If anything, it gets people lost in a wormhole. And lost in that wormhole, this is like, you, again, people who, the death scroll or the doom scroll, where you hours and hours you're scrolling. And again, even find a bunch of people in that space who's commenting on the same videos and stuff like that. But it's just a wormhole. You're not even doing nothing in that. Versus, the people who kind of, again, what things like what we're doing right free is you're trying to do, or not even trying, we really doing it, where it's like on this side of the internet, you see us bringing things together to do something with it. You know what I'm saying? Because even to that degree, there's the people who's producing things, and then there's the people who's consuming. And depending on where you at these pockets of the internet, again, where's all that time going? Because if the people and the things that you're watching and consuming ain't influencing, urging you to, again, be a better version of yourself, get up and do something, or inviting you out to engage with them, then again, years, time, and all this energy is going to pass, and you're going to look up and say, dang, I spent all this time lost into what I was being entertained by. And that's the same thing that basically done came, that's the same thing that basically happened with television and stuff. Shout out to Makobi in here. You said create or consume, right? Exactly. And same with creating, when I say creating, don't, people don't have to take it. So, because not everybody might see themselves as a creator. Everybody has something or is passionate enough about something yet to feel as though they want to do that every day and be a content creator in that sense. But there's other ways to create. Creating experiences in life is a thing. AKA going, inviting people out, or putting yourself in a space where you can engage with other people that you see or interact with online, or that you just want to be in. Getting up and going to the bar and shit like that up the street from where you live is experience for your life. People forget the simplest things. they hear create or consume, and they think, oh, create, I gotta be a content creator now. I don't have no skill or nothing to do that can, that can get and shit like that. But you're thinking about life wrong. See, that's the thing. Nowadays, people's vision of life is literally tied to the internet, where they think in order to do anything meaningful, they have to tie it to some kind of YouTube channel or some kind of TikTok profile or a stream. And it's like, no, literally, you are creating the life that you want to live and shit like that. So you can take that into whatever field you want to take it in, but you have to take the authority. And that's kind of what I'm getting at. This Sagittarius energy really is supposed to, like, you might think the way it came, it might be busting you upside the head right now, where you don't know where to go, and you're like, what the fuck is the meaning of life? And it's like, if it's like it's really supposed to be, you know, breaking open whatever cocoon you kind of put yourself into. It's like new cocoons. See, a lot of this mental warfare is getting into the realization that, damn, I just ain't been seeing it right. It's almost like, I forget the expression, but it's like, it really is like you gotta crack your own, like getting your cocoon cracked. Like, I don't know how else to say it, where it's like you thought the world was what you was lost in. Like your mind sometimes, based upon what you might be going through or whatnot, you might limit yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of things that can create that calcification of what you can see. And those things are like fear, people around you who's telling you that this is not possible or not possible. But when you really, like, if you sit with yourself long enough and you allow yourself to really, because part of the magic of Sagittarius is what they call long distance travel, but in the mind, right? A lot of people at the surface level of, I gotta get up and go to a new state or a new country or something like that. But it is going somewhere further in your mind that you might not be able to go to physically. And it might not even be a literal place, it's a mental place. So you might have to sit with yourself and travel a little bit further. Like saying in the, I think I said this in the last live, you got to take your mind off of your spiritual block. You might be stuck in that block based upon what people told you was possible reality, based upon what you thought was the thing to do. Again, morality a lot of times prevents people from being who they really are. You thought you was spending all your time trying to be a nice guy or a good girl or something like. It's like like that kept you only seeing the world from this perspective. But again, if you go a little bit further out of what you think is right, you might actually see what's actually better for you. You might something else that inspire you to say, damn, you know what? I can grow. I can do more. And that might, again, all thoughts and feelings, the purpose of them is to encourage our body, our actions to do. So, like, again, I know when it comes to thoughts and feelings, they are not ours. But the thing is, thoughts and feelings are resources. These are foods that we can consume to give us energy, inspiration to go out with our body and energy. Sometimes people just be eating the wrong thoughts and feelings, aka food. So they consume a bunch of things with their mind, and a lot of what they consume comes from whatever's on that algorithm, whatever you are lost in. Again, that pocket of the net you keep going around and around, and that's only showing you a bunch of toxic shit, a bunch of shit that really ain't helping you prosper, ain't inspiring you to do nothing miraculous, and not inspiring you to do nothing great. And see, that just creates a cycle of more and more depression and more lack of confidence and more lack of self-esteem and shit like that. And again, we all get people who are doing something that they're trying to transform their life to be like. Again, you have to be it to see it, and there's no shortcut around that. So even in that sense, like, it takes a lot of courage to muster up the determination and be devoted to doing something consistently until that becomes a part of your character. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people want to change things, change how they see themselves, and change what they look at in the mirror, right? Whether externally, but it's the same principle. It's like you have to be that and start to convince yourself. And there's multitudes of different tricks that we've been talking about for the longest. One of them is, even if you do spend a lot of stuff like that. But see, the honest answer is it's not really going to come from being online. It's going to come from doing things tangibly. So even if it's writing in a notebook, keeping a journal or something like that, where you jot down different, like, again, affirmations is not just saying affirmations as a feel good picker upper. I'm talking living your affirmations. Like, people cool with reciting them and making it seem all pop culture-y, like, oh, these my affirmations, and I say this in the mirror all day. But fuck the mirror, getting up in your actual affirmation, whatever you telling yourself you trying to be and shit like that. You trying to be successful, you have to do things that you think are images. So you have to make that a thing. You have to make that a regimen, and you got to commit to that. And we all fall short, but when you fall short, have an honest conversation with yourself as to what went wrong. And what went wrong, you don't got to be super hard and bash yourself and break yourself down. It's actually quite the opposite. It's about, again, this conversation is not necessarily a harsh one. An honest conversation is just saying, like, well, again, if you chose, say you trying to change your diet and chose to eat something that gonna fuck up your stomach or not help you lose, sit and ask yourself, okay, when I chose to do that, what space was I in that made me revert to something that, what made me choose that? And this could be a simple answer. Again, if you're honest with yourself, find that a lot of times the answer is, well, it was something emotional. It was like I didn't want to feel this way, or this is a comfort for me, or this thing that I'm used to. So it's like, and again, there's many different, depending on your own uniqueness and your own unique relationship with yourself, that will kind of fill in those gaps and answers. But just be honest with the answer and see, if you sit with yourself long enough, you'll start to understand, okay, oh, I did that because of this. Again, identifying where your intention was. So yeah, everybody wants change, but a lot of times people find it hard to change because they're not doing the work that it takes, which is diving deep enough within your subconscious to see if it is. Observe it. Oh, subconsciously, I keep going against that I'm trying to do for myself because I see myself this way, or there's this trigger tied to me feeling comfortable or not wanting that I haven't been able to shake. And then at that point, you know what now to attack. And this is where you start to, okay, muster up the strength, and then you can start to address that energy. So when it pops up, aka you get the impulse to go against what you're trying to change for yourself. So in this example, your diet and shit, you know what to go to with. And see, this is just a smaller version of what we're going to have to deal with going into 2025, and what it even means to be a spiritual adult. Because part of being an maturity is control, but not unhealthy control where you become a control. Like, people who have an unhealthy relationship with control are people who feel as though they have to control others, and they feel like they have to control others because they trust themselves and can't control themselves. But again, when you become wise and shit like that, you realize, oh, only thing I can control is myself. So you start to, again, controlling yourself could be even to the extent of putting yourself in situations around people that you can trust, because you value yourself. So you operate and move around the world different than a person who, again, is always in panic mode. So ironically, because they can't control themselves, they put themselves in situations in which they have to be mistrustful of others, and they have to feel like they can control everybody around them because they didn't do what they were supposed to do, which was you control yourself. Because controlling yourself gonna put up certain boundaries and things like that that's gonna prevent you from being in certain spaces and things like that where you kind of a sitting duck and shit like that. So it gets deep on that end. And then even with control, like I said, being a spiritual adult, being is part of on how to control yourself. But you can't control yourself if you don't understand your own subconsciousness. If you, and again, that's a process, that's an ongoing thing. You're gonna spend your subconscious, but it's worth the investment, because whatever we understand subconsciously becomes what we can consciously be aware of. And once we are consciously aware of things, we can be intentional. And this makes your actions and your focus and energy and time into more impactful and more directed to what you want to build for your life, instead of the other end of that, which is what you're not aware of subconsciously will become the very same thing that you lack awareness of consciously. Or when you make an intentional action, you miss the point. You miss the actual goal. That's where you fall short, because you didn't quite see the full ramification of what you was looking at. You didn't see it all. You didn't have the vision. And then now, and this is why even when we talk about Sagittarius energy, the expansion is that the ability to see, but not just see from your own fixated point of view, not only see from the first spark like you just glimpse and shit like that. It's actually being able to have a wide expanded view to where, oh, I can actually see multiple angles, all sides, or as many sides as I'm allowed to see. And let's be real, we can't see everything. This is why relationships are important. And this is even where, if we are talking about what the moon in Libra kind of provides for the Sagittarius energy, again, as an opportunity, is the opportunity to start to, for what we can see, if we're connected to the right individuals because we planted the right seed, we can have like we can relate perspectives, broaden our awareness on something. And this is where, again, if you are connected to a team, this is kind of where, again, the moon being in Libra trines Pluto in Aquarius. So hopefully, if you do got real people around you can also see, then again, think about how powerful that becomes as a perspective. Now, this is the Sun and Mercury getting a sextile from both in Libra and Pluto in Aquarius. So this is like, again, for the people who are in positions like that where they got a group of people around them, right? And it don't gotta be a bunch, it's a connected group or a few individuals around them that they can bounce perspectives on. Boom, all of a sudden we have now a wider reach. So this is a good energy for business, for doing things that are more so productive. I would recommend things for this energy, right? Because the other way it could be used, you know, again, this is it's kind of I'll say it like this, it's all situational, you know, it's all situational. But I will say it's good for business. It's really good for business. Or I say good for just group activities or being, you know, kind of coming together to formulate kind of a better approach to things. Like if you was running a business, this would be a good time to have kind of one of those meetings and shit, like where, you know, you bring minds together and y'all kind of see different strategies and different angles on how to do things, you know. But in your own person, this might be a time where you might need to cool out for a little bit and gain perspective on things before you just before you engage in anything, you know, because actually really we also got is that a grand air trine too? Yeah, low key is a grand air trine as well with the moon, Libra, Pluto in Aquarius, and Jupiter in Gemini. And the thing about and the reason why I say this is the age of bad advice, you know, we got Jupiter in Gemini and we got Mercury in Sagittarius. This whole season, I feel like when soon as Jupiter got into Gemini, it seemed like what you was learning that might have been like you felt like was the best thing to learn. You really, this is where you had to start to have your own mind about things, because Jupiter right there, it's an energy of meanings and reasonings in a space without conversation, analyzing, and thinking. So you might have over exaggerated things that you was learning for the first time. And so again, in the age of the internet and everybody trying to go viral, a bunch of people bullshit online for the sake of trying to get that video that was gonna take them to that point. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Mooney. He said, put some respect on your neck, man. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate you, man. Real shit. But yeah, you know, when it comes to Jupiter and Gemini, you know, that was a time where everybody was, again, this is where we at right now. Everybody just trying to put some bullshit on that they just learned about and trying to go viral about it. This is where you get a bunch of people just throwing anything at the wall, trying to get their name out. Boom, I'm gonna say this, I'm gonna say that, teaching anything. And this could be people who've been online and stuff like that, but everybody was just trying to cling on something to be the first or be somebody who did it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. Shout out to El here. You already know, beyond shit. For real, for real. Because there's a lot of things in this world that can just get you wrapped up and stuff. And it's like, you know, again, but at the same time, that's why I say, like, I don't be, you know what I'm saying, without looking at it, just, you know, I look at it like I'm from a different space. So people from this world and shit, and people who believe in and wrapped up in this stuff, again, they be understanding stuff that I be looking at like I don't really see it that way, but it's what it is, man. But when it comes to that Jupiter energy, again, it's just bad advice. A lot of people just giving you recommendations. You had to be quiet. You had to be aware of what you was into and what you was kind of receiving. And then now with Mercury opposite that, see, we have an opportunity to have balance here. You know what I'm saying? And that balance is still kind of lopsided, but this is why I was saying that Mercury in Sagittarius, um, being that it's going retrograde, can actually be beneficial because you got Mercury in a place where it doesn't like to be, but it's being retrograded. So things are kind of reversed on things. Things are kind of like slowed down enough for you to actually analyze. And now when you're analyzing it, you can see it. So again, on a grand scale, this is, you know, even when we think of the concept of Sagittarius and faith, when I say something like having faith in yourself and shit like that, and what that even means, again, you have to see things for how you and have that interpretation for you. Like it's just really a heavy time on trust yourself rather than anybody else's advice for things, you know. And again, not to say that you can't listen to people, but when you're listening to people, you have to really kind of take it into you and say, well, you know, how, like, what does this mean to me? You know what I'm saying? Like this person might be saying, oh, this about things. This person might be saying that. And two things could be true. You know what I'm saying? Two things could be true. Most perspective. Again, Sagittarius is mutable fire. So it's seeing all the difference it could be. But from all of that, it's still a fire energy. And fire energy is about individuality. It is about separation. So even a Sagittarius that might be taking in a bunch of perspectives, still gonna craft their own vision from, and it's gonna be an amalgamation of all those different ways of seeing it. But and that's what we're supposed to do right now. So with the retrograde, it's just a matter of you understanding, like, okay, don't even be too quick to just fully agree, or don't be so quick to fully disagree. Just kind of take in the perspective. Oh, okay, I see it how you see it. I see a piece of how you see it. And then when this energy goes direct, and really, honestly, this is gonna be, it's not gonna be all clear, but think of it as when new moon in Sagittarius hits, that's gonna be kind of the jump off point for you to test out your philosophy, to test out and kind of practice what you preach in that sense. Pamela up in here. So that's kind of what you got to consider as well, is what we're gearing up to do now before we hit the new moon is preparing ourselves to, like, it's almost like, so what you gonna practice? What you gonna practice when you're preaching? So right now we're kind of, you really better off kind of sitting back and kind of collecting things as information, you know, because again, even like I was saying before, Jupiter in the opposite energy that is it likes to be in, and Mercury in the opposite energy it likes to be in, the balance of things is to understand, um, it's almost like, you know, if Mercury and Sag is like speaking on what you think you know, and Jupiter and Gemini is like, it's kind of like sitting with what you think you know for a second before you just start talking, before you just start kicking it. Like really sit with the information and go with it. You know what I'm saying? Right now, again, people who are in desperation mode, they might be chasing something to where they feel like they don't have enough time to sit with something before they start acting on it or wanting to experience it. But all of that rush, go, energy, again, is going to drive you right off a cliff or put you in a situation where you're going to have to start backtracking what you was talking on, you know, stuff like that. Getting back into the moon, though. So the moon in Libra, right? So it's kind of opposite the North Node. So again, we feel a little bit iffy about our spiritual path, even though we can see it. And it's just coming from not really knowing to relate to it. We feel a little bit opposite because, again, and this is like, this isn't, think about it like this. Anytime you're looking at your spiritual path, a lot of times when we're looking at what we are trying to do for a mission, a lot of times we might feel like, it's something outside of us, or we might feel like it's something to it's like a task or a journey. It's like something that we are trying to strive to be suited for. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like any storybook that's talking about a person on a mission or somebody with a goal. It's like you're trying to build yourself up to slay the dragon like that. So when you're, you know, the moon opposite the North Node, you might feel like, man, there's still some things I have to learn or some things I have to build myself up to be in order to reach that spiritual path. And then again, you're still looking at your mistakes and things that might make you more passive or make you feel kind of thrown off or unbalanced and stuff like that. But the, you know, all you have to really do is kind of use that moon in Libra to kind of remind yourself, because what Libra is good at is gathering information, right? When it feels like it lacks, it can create a relationship with to kind of compensate for that. So if you do feel like you're lacking, and the thing is, you're probably not lacking. This is probably just a phase, and you're feeling that at the moment. But what you can do about it is use some of the sextiles available. So you got on one end, I was just talking about the Sagittarius aspect. So gaining more perspectives to be able to relate. So you can relate to a different side of your faith, or you can relate to a different side of your what's the word? Not faith, but Sagittarius being like relating to different perspectives. That's the word I was using. So there again, optimism and things like that. So that moon, if you don't feel like you can face that spiritual path head on, will start to get a different perspective. Maybe you need to learn something a little bit, and that whatever you're learning, but in more of a relationship in that space can kind of build you up to have the optimism and confidence to go for it. And on the other end, you have to start relating to your passion more. You know what I'm saying? So whatever it is that does make you feel like you are, again, what that main character energy is for you, you need to start relating and activating that too. And this is why, again, at this point, it's another emphasis on how important it is to be yourself and really kind of, you have to grow into that energy of being yourself. The Mars, again, is only going to be shit a couple more days before Mars go retrograde. So really, this is important shit. You got to kind of tap into that so you can start to play out that character and start relating with that character and solidifying that character in that way of seeing things. And that's going to actually add to the confidence. But you might not feel like you got it all together now. And see, the moon being next to Lilith is going to kind of create that, where you're going to feel more comfortable being passive and not choosing to relate with that. And that's kind of going to lead you to having the confidence when you really going to need it. Because everything we're doing with Mars currently in Leo is supposed to be getting us prepared to kind of go through that retrograde it's going to go into, where it's going to kind of go back into Cancer and it's going to get more introspective. But if you planted the right seeds, this is going to be you nurturing that confidence and you kind of taking what you did set at a stage and you're adding a little bit more care. So let's say if this was a Broadway play, right, on audition night, you set the stage, right, and you had a good audition, but when the audition, it was so good, you put so much into it that wasn't worried about knowing your lines or anything. Instead, you was kind of just putting finishing touches on the aesthetic. So instead of, again, the person who planted the right seeds gave a good performance, a good first impression, they knew their lines, they was really character, and they felt like, you know what, okay, cool, I can add care to how I'm presenting myself. So this is them kind of coming up with cool ways and little mannerisms they can add to their character. This is them going behind the stage and adding details into the set and adding little, different details and different props that they gonna use and shit like that. So Mars goes direct. Not only do they rock the stage, but they do a life-changing performance for the people in the audience because of the small things, the mannerisms and shit like that. All of a sudden, guess what that leads to? Different opportunities, getting called for a movie or doing something like that, an agent and stuff like that, and it's a good review. Versus someone who planted bad seeds. So during right now, while Mars is in Leo, and it's their time to kind of make their audition or make their rehearsal. That's the word I meant to use. Guess what happened? They wasn't really feeling themselves, didn't really get into character. They gave a half-ass performance. They was like, this is just a rehearsal. And this is the equivalent, right, to a person in real life who got real passions and goals that they want to do, but they half-assing them. And they like, it's this fall time, it's holiday. I feel like, I'll just put this out, but I ain't really going to invest all my energy into it. I got other things to watch. Like, I got other entertainment to involve myself in, right? So, getting back to the analogy, this is them giving a half-ass rehearsal. So, instead of being in the space, so they don't memorize their lines, they don't take the time to add details into their performance. And so, when the energy goes direct, the show goes on, right? They can give a decent performance, but again, have no standout performance. They didn't do nothing that really did anything for everybody in the audience. So when the review come out, they didn't even get a shout out. Anybody in the audience who was watching to recruit somebody, they was like, you know what, I'm gonna pass on this person because their energy lacked that flair, it lacked that thing. And you might not even, again, the person who's doing the performance, depending on how you was going about it, how you treated that, you might have really disregard, you might have not even, or you might have just kind of, and I'm talking about an analogy, right, of being in a relationship, but think about it in real life. Chances are you in a situation right now where you don't got the money you want, you ain't living the experiences you want to live, and you ain't really doing shit anyway. So you can't really even afford to half-ass things in reality right now. And I'm not trying to be harsh, but I mean that's the real shit. You know what I'm saying? Even me, I'll be feeling about like shit. I ain't where I want to be at, so I need to make sure I'm going extra hard. Or I need to make sure I'm at least putting a certain level of effort and energy into what I'm clashing. If I'm gonna put this on the center stage, Mars is at one of the, again, Leo, are you kidding me? Mars and Leo is one of the, this is where you can really make crazy strides at whatever passion you got because it's a fixated fire. See, Mars is home in Aries. It's a spark here and there and gone. But Leo, you can create that character and make it have staying power. Where there's characters that you know is cool for the movie, but then there's characters where, man, that person in another movie, or I can't wait to see that character in part two. You know what I'm saying? Type of things that stay with you, that become like a household name. So whatever passion you have right now has the ability to be a household name, but you gotta believe it's that and move and operate as if it is that. And again, the moon in Libra, you can get a lot from that because the way you can do that energy can be really relatable, relating your passions. You know what I'm saying? In another sense, Mars sextile Libra is being able to relate your passion. You know, but don't let that be used and related against you, where somebody come around you and because of how passionate they are, you start agreeing with them. Either they overpower and bully you, or you just see some innate passion that you didn't see in yourself. And so you blindly agree with whatever they going to war with. And then next thing you know, you on the front lines while they somewhere in the back, not even in the war, chilling and relaxing and shit like that. And you cut up and shot at in the front lines because you fighting somebody else's battle. And that's kind of where even the moon and Libra energy of that's where Libra gets in trouble, guilty by association and shit like that, in the sense of you done went to war for somebody who not even as invested in the thing that they got you fighting for. This is like, again, you in the military and shit like that. Before you know it, you the front lines, you the one getting shot at, and you don't even, again, America, not even, or whatever country you in the military for, ain't even really, it's all a psyop and shit like that. You done got set up, you know what I'm saying? And that's on the ground. But again, this happens with people every day. Shout out to Famous Model. This happens to people every day. You know what I'm saying? You be thinking you sticking up for your friend, and so you ready to fight for your friend and shit like that. You start getting beat up and jumped on school, and your friend like, dang, it wasn't even that deep. Nah, I was just talking shit. You know, you done got passionate. And you started fighting and sticking up for them and stuff like that. And you got beat up. So don't do that either. You know what I'm saying? Don't find yourself in a situation like that. You know, again, having your own perspective on things and knowing what you're doing in life is always kind of the thing to lean towards. You know, what do you value and you striving to do? And speaking of value, you got the moon squaring Venus. So having to learn how to relate about some of the more realities about what you support. So again, you might have been supporting something, but you know what you've been supporting, you whatever it is, as far as that, because Venus being in Capricorn, it's all business. So the thing about Libra is Libra can kind of get on a little bit, but Libra knows how to kind of, Libra's more focused on the relationship, while Capricorn's more focused on the money, on the business. So on one end, this is an energy where you can learn how to be, it's almost like you have to learn how to be more discerning about your support. That's kind of the energy I get from it. You know, the two energies that are squared are Venus and the moon. So you might have felt comfortable supporting something, but you might have to add a little discernment, whether that's in the form of, see, Venus is being more responsible. So we have to be more responsible with our values and be more of an authority figure when it comes to the things that we support. You know what I'm saying? Is the sound weird? Man, the sound been tripping, bro. Is it understandable though? It's something with my microphone, I think. Whether I gotta get it fixed or cleaned out or something like that. But Nah, you good. You good. I appreciate you something because I mean, people been saying it for the last couple hours though, and I'm gonna figure out a solution. I think I'm gonna just have to or order something. But it's not just you. Multiple people been saying it's some weird with the sound. But it's the sunshine up in here. But yeah. So when it comes to that moon square Venus and things like that, like it's that energy of when it comes to our values, we have to be more responsible with them. Like where are you giving your support and how is that really building you up? You know, again, not being too selfish is a matter of that support you got ain't just to be given to everything. Again, you have to think about what you want to invest in and what you're interested in building, and not just be on the, you know what I'm saying, not just be giving everybody. And the moon, again, you might feel like you're connected to something. You might feel like you want to be relatable to something. So you might be wanting to give. But you have to be mindful about what you're giving and how much you even got to give. Because if it don't make sense, it don't need to be, again, you don't need to feel guilty and like responsible for something that ain't really good for your situation and good for your status and things like. And that's what you support too rubs off on your status. You know, right now people might be status minded more so about, you know, and even status conscious. So what we don't have status wise, we might start feeling some kind of way about. We might start about. So don't let that ruin things like your integrity. You know what I'm saying? Don't let that compromise your integrity. Don't start doing things out of character because you feel as though I could probably get a better status if I do this. If I align with this, I could get a better status and shit like that. And that's gonna be that overindulgent aspect of Venus where you start to be looked at kind of because you might think you're getting over. You might think people can't peep that. People can peep that. You can tell it's not authentic. You can tell it's not genuine. Now, what else? The moon is also going to be in conjuncting Uranus. So again, with all that relatable energy, we might misunderstand where our individual stance on things is regarding our values or what makes sense to us. So if you know, you might misunderstand how to relate to that or how to deal with the uncomfortability. And again, just learn how to be comfortable within everybody. Learn how to be comfortable with not necessarily being so agreeable and shit like that. And again, I know it's hard, especially for people with heavy Libra energies or heavy Venus energies, Pisces energies and stuff like that. But it's like, again, if you're moving with integrity, if you're being genuine, you're always going to be on the right side of energy. If I'm being true to me, I'm on the right side of energy. And it's not about, that's just where it stops. Everything else that you add on top of that, something else that you add in to justify one side or the other. But at the end of the day, the middle path is you. It's let me be me. And if it's not you, it's not resonating with your truth, then you're putting something as a facade or trying to avoid something, you know what I'm saying, which is gonna reach you inevitably, you know what I'm saying? So you might as well be you and face what you are meant to face rather than trying to hide behind another person's way of being or hide behind something, trying to avoid, trying to run around something. It just doesn't, you know, it's not really gonna end up like I said, you're gonna end up manifesting a bunch of situations that aren't even for you, and that's gonna make you feel even more inadequate or even more challenged, stressed, and put in a space and anxious, and put in a space where it feels like they can't win or things just ain't going right for me and shit like that. And things could go right for you if you was being yourself. You know what I'm saying? Even when you're going through hard struggle and shit like that, when you're being yourself though, it's something that you manifested from being you. Those types of struggles be good struggles, good problems. Like, damn, I got too many options on how I want to release my music. I got two options on, or I'm, damn, I got the struggle of picking this venue or that venue to do my show in. Those are good problems, you know what I'm saying? I got, oh man, there's too many people that want to work with me. There's too many people who want to support me. Damn, I don't know where to put investment. Or I don't, you know, these are good problems. These are the type of problems that come from being yourself and manifesting the things that's meant for you. But when you being something about somebody else because you're in fear, you're trying to avoid something, you start to manifest problems like, damn, I don't know what to do about this. This is hitting me from this angle. I'm trying to this person, please. I'm trying to do this. I'm stressed. You feel me? So just keep that in mind. And then the moon also is going to be Saturn. So we misunderstand how to even relate to reality. And a lot of times, or a lot of what we're experiencing right now is a delusion that we built up around us. Like I was saying, that kind of cocoon that we got to break from. because a lot of what you might have built you that made you feel secure and stuff like that, it could be coming from a delusion. It could be something that's not really a struggle or not really a restriction for you, but you've convinced yourself it's a restriction in some kind of way by not knowing how to. And now and these are like stories that you might have started telling yourself. So again, depending on how your Sagittarius season started and how you was going about that optimism expansion, you might have started to convince yourself that reality was against you a certain way or certain things wasn't possible to do. And that might have created that kind of false cocoon around you conscious wise, where you got restrictions that's not really restrictions. Misunderstand how to relate to reality, misunderstand how to work with your situation. And the thing is, there's an option there, but you just got to sit with it long enough to kind of craft a unique one that's going to work for you. Yeah, and that's the main things. Let me see if there's anything else. I think that's about it as far as transits go. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? So right now it really is revelation season. You're gonna be seeing a lot of things for the next couple of days, the next few days, next 30 days that are going to shift your perspective on things. And at the end of the day, you know, what you're looking at, kind of keep in mind, where is my interpretation at and where is things coming from? Do the shadow work to go within you to kind of see what subconsciously you're being triggered by and what you're being led to believe about your reality based upon what you haven't resolved internally, because these are the things that are going to kind of tell you the truth. Because and don't be ashamed to kind of just say you wrong. Like, you know, sometimes you get it, sometimes your interpretation of some shit is wrong. You just see the, you know, and it ain't nothing. Being wrong ain't the end of the world. You know what I'm saying? Falling short ain't the world. It's about how you know, your resilience in that. And having resilience, the more vulnerable you're able to accept. Like, that's the thing too about Sagittarius. You might not want to be vulnerable, so it makes it even a more emphasis on being wrong. There might be shame, you know, buried down from childhood, from being wrong or getting things wrong, things like that. But the thing is, it's all an experience. So it's not even really about right and wrong. It's about the experience itself to derive from it. But see, what keeps a person ignorant is not knowing when to see the truth. You know what I'm saying? That's what keeps a person ignorant, when they make a mistake, but they don't want to admit it. Man. Right, experience is here to teach us. Thank you. You know what I'm saying? That's exactly what it is. Like, when you try to avoid what is clearly a mistake, or when you try to avoid what the experience is showing you, this is you again keeping the blinders on yourself. And at that point, what you're doing, displaying, is the actions and sentiments of a person who isn't again, you're too much in ego. You're avoiding the truth. You don't want to be helped, right? And only help people who want to help themselves. And when you keep doing this to yourself, this is the universe looking at you like, oh, they don't want to be helped, because the universe is not a person, so it can't hold grudges and it can't throw things at specifically. It can only reproduce what you are putting out, so it responds to you. So this is why, again, every problem that you experience of your own is something you created for yourself. And just because you created something that looks like a problem or a restriction or a boundary, a lot of times you do that for your own growth and for your own good. This is why the body yearns for comfort and for things to be the same, while the spirit is an agent of chaos naturally. So your spirit is always going to conjure up something new, push you in a new space when things get stagnant, change your mind on things and shake things up. But, you know, to understand the nature of it, you know, don't be afraid of that. Don't be afraid of your own spirit, basically. Don't be afraid of God in that aspect of, you know, going through these new experiences and throwing things at you. It's all growth and development and things like that. But, you know, things can get dicey and shit like that. And shout out to Schwetzel, because he had said something that I thought was a good take when he was talking about AI. You know, and this is referring to the space we in nowadays when we're looking on what. And, you know, when we use certain terms like AI and shit like that, artificial intelligence, this is a energy. You know, this is an energy. You know, whenever there's a new word, all these words have energy and spirits behind them that kind of created that vibe and that energy, right? But nowadays, when we talk about things being AI, artificial, see, a person can be considered AI based upon how they're interacting with the world. It's the same thing as like an NPC. When you call somebody an NPC, it's an energy that a person will be in where you can kind of engineer their own mind. They're engineered from the mind of someone else, and so they're on autopilot. Everything that they're saying is something that they found somewhere online, and now is computing and reciting and stuff like that, instead of the sentiments of a person where you can tell, oh, that's a one-of-a-kind response because it came from a one-of-a mind and a one-of-a-kind individual who went through one-of-a-kind type experiences, so on and so forth, right? Which we can start to consider to be real people. Versus you get nowadays so many people are consumed by the common status that, yeah, we can go ahead and call that AI activity. You know what I'm saying? Somebody might be a living, breathing human by definition, but everything out their mouth is artificial. And you can tell they don't got no real intelligence because they have been nowhere with their own mind in their own time. So everything out their mouth is artificial intelligence. Everything that they say and do is something they see somebody else to emulate what it's like to be a real human. And again, we know how that AI should look like when it's trying to be human. Can spot it from away. And if you can't, it's because you're probably not looking hard enough, or you yourself probably see some of the things as normal. And that's, you need to look in the mirror and say, hold on, where am I at? So when you see, when you're interacting with people online, but even in real life, we get into a time now where in real life you can see AI people and people walking around who's talking, moving, and gesturing in a way that you can tell, hey, you're not thinking for yourself, rating and moving off of the status quo bubble, But everybody, again, we in wartime right now where you have to, and I've been saying this too when it comes to changing the world. First things first, we still in a year 8 and it's leading to a year 9, right? This whole year is about breaking out of these cycles and kind of seeing yourself for who you are and kind of to that truth. You know what I'm saying? Being your true self and getting more in touch with that one-of-a-kind side of yourself, right? A lot of that 8 energy too is spending time and working through those deep, dark things that have kept you in that loop. Year 9 is being able to emerge from that and be free from that and apply new wisdom, apply new knowledge. Also be willing, open, and accepting to things that you can learn and grow from. So, in that transition, right, shift going on currently is those who are willing to do that and are allowing themselves to mature into that, and people who are still too afraid to detach from kind of keep them, again, it's like detaching from, even if you equate it to the previous age, right? All of those age of Pisces ideologies and sentiments, kind of even ideas of, Pisces is like that universal love and everything can, everything can be in peace and kumbaya and shit like that. And the truth of the matter is, we're in a time right now where that's just not the world we in no more. And in order for us to be in a space of connection and peace, it has to be something, war, and not war in a sense of, bashing each other's head in and just being hyper aggressive and blowing everything up, but war in the sense of you have to be really vigilant with your own mind, and you have to really know what it is that you're fighting for. Again, all the energies I was talking about, Neptune going into Aries and things like that, I look at ages as a combination of all the positions of the outer planets, right? There needs to be, right now, because Neptune is still in Pisces, we haven't hit 2025 yet. We have to gather a clear enough self so that we know what we're fighting for, and then we can give it our all. But right now, a lot of people might be wanting to jump the gun because, again, it's a lot of angst. Say things is changing. Everybody's trying to make the best move, make their next move the best move. But it's like, really take the time to figure out for yourself where you want to take things for you. And but we are at war. So all those previous sentiments, those age of peace movements and how things was moving before, where It was all let's be friends and da, da, da. We in a time right now where it's like there has to be a clear line. And that clear line again is just kind of more so on that Aquarian shit, where where's the separation, where's the individuality at, and from that, being willing to stand on that, and again, like having that integrity, you know what I'm saying? Again, I keep on saying like be genuine and shit like that, but energies like that, it's gonna come to a point where again that clear line is between who's got those real genuine sentiments and trying to really build something that's gonna be beneficial for, you know, whatever that community is trying to build and uphold in that new system, versus those who still clinging on to, again, trying to be overly connected and too much into the mix. It's all of that watery Pisces energy and just blind faith. That's just not going to work right now. And you're gonna have to you're gonna have to know what you stand on so that you know what to fight and put your energy into for. You know, but the warfare is more so about the mind. And majority of the world is already at a loss because of what they're lost in. They're already distracted, and so they're training themselves. They're not getting themselves in the right space. So when they do go to war, they're gonna be fighting for the same things that's kind of enslaving them now. They're gonna be fighting on the whole opposite side of things. You know, when we say the good fight, or something as far as getting our minds to be able to be free enough to be ourselves, and then building a system in which we don't have to be dependent on, again, cat and mouse games, rat races, and things like that. That seem more and more things like genocide and killing each other, homicide, and things like that. You know what I'm saying? Well, you know, that's the whole purpose of a community, is trying to build something to have a substantial, to have enough energy and in that to be able to build a system in which now we're not dependent on whatever the fuck they system doing. Shadow government and the way they got things operating. Because we see how that is. You know what I'm saying? We see what they've been on as far as just the way the world been going. You know what I'm saying? With there been again more and more separation, confusion, putting people against each other. You know, putting people in situations where they can't win, and you know, these very dramatic, dark experiences that wouldn't even be a thing if their system was really catered to, you know, protecting them and right by their people and stuff like that. But you know, all in all, that's all for y'all. I appreciate y'all coming through. You know, we're gonna continue to build on this and stuff like that. Yeah, there's a lot to be done. You know, there's a lot to be done. Let the Mercury retrograde get you in a bind. Don't let it have you in a cycle and stuff like that. Again, let's expand into something better and shit like that. And just, again, look at yourself and where you want to take your life and invest more energy into that, not what anybody else got going on. Much love, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. Also, be on the lookout. The Each One Teach One is coming up very soon, along with the next episode of Creators on Vacation that's dropping on Friday. Y'all know, 8:30 p.m. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Much love. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.